Okay, let's have a look at question 1 on paper 2. It is some pretty easy marks for us to, I guess, guarantee that we get, but there is an approach that we ought to take. So let's jump in. So I'm going to model this example for you and talk you through the way that I would do it. Now, you'll find that you are given in the question, read again the first part of the source from lines 1 to 19. Okay, now I've copied just a chunk of the source. This isn't the entire source, but I've copied a chunk of the source. And what I've managed to get myself here is lines 1 to 21, 22, 23. So lines 20 to 23, I'm just going to draw a line through them. Now, in the exam, the approach that I would take, very, very simply, would be to draw myself a box around this section. And it's going to make life a lot easier just to kind of focus our attention there. Okay, then we are going to read the questions, okay, because we have to choose 4 statements from this list of 8 which are true, okay, and we're going to get 4 marks, so 1 mark for each one. Now, the reason that I recommend reading the questions first is because we're going to know what to look for. Now, a key thing to remember is that the questions or the answers in the text are likely to come up chronologically, okay? So what that should mean is if I were to just draw some general lines, this answer should be here, 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 and this answer should be here. Okay, a general sense of things, that's what we should be looking at. Okay, so we're going to read the questions. Robin tours the Cotswolds with his brother. Okay, so we're going to look for where is it that he's touring and is it with his brother? Robin likes that the ruins of buildings are open. Okay, does he like open ruins? He's in his 70s. Okay, so we're looking for his age. The YouTube channel is less than 10 years old. The YouTube channel has had thousands of views. He lives near Oxford. His producer came up with the idea for a channel. He's more than 50 years older than Ross. Okay, so those are the details that we are looking for in the text. And now we can read the text itself. Okay, so we're going to be going through, we're going to be looking for our answers. Now, what I like to do when I'm going through is when I read the extract and I find what I think is an answer, I put a little cross or a tick next to whether I think these things are true. Then I'm going to check them. Okay, so just very quickly. Robin Shuckburgh has been exploring the region since he was a boy, touring medieval churches with his brother. Okay, so exploring the region since he was a boy, touring medieval churches with his brother. Okay, so it suggests that when he was a boy, he was touring medieval churches with his brother rather than currently. Okay, so I'm going to put a cross there. Okay, so this is past tense. And that's one of the things that it's worth looking at in the text is to kind of look at the tense of the question. Look at the tense of the statement. Okay. He said the buildings had been completely open back then, and they could climb spiral staircases up on the roof, taking in the beautiful views. Interesting. Okay, so the beautifuls had been completely open back then. Okay, the ruins of the buildings are open, so this is clearly in the past tense. So I reckon that one's false as well. Robin is in his now in his 70s. In his 70s, Robin is in his 70s. Mr. Shuckburgh, Robin Shuckburgh, that's his name. Yeah, I'm happy with that, so I reckon that one's true. Calls himself an unlikely influencer as he brings stories from all corners of the Cotswolds to life through his YouTube channel, The Cotswolds Explorer. The channel was set up 8 years ago. So it can't be less than, so it's less than 10 years old. I thought that said less than a year old. So that one is also true. Okay, set up 8 years ago. And so far has accumulated about 6.5 million views. Okay, so it hasn't accumulated thousands of views. It's accumulated millions. Now, this is a dodgy one because it has accumulated thousands of views, but also more than thousands. Okay, it's accumulated 6,000 views. So we're going to put a question mark next to this one to begin with, because it might just be a sneaky trick question, but I think it's false because it's had 6.5 million views, which is a lot more than thousands of views. But that's also technically true. So we'll come back to that one. Okay. But Mr. Shuckburgh, who lives in Bampton, Oxfordshire, said he didn't come until for an unusual partnership. Okay, so Oxfordshire, Robin lives near Oxford. That one's true. Okay, so it's in the Shire of Oxfordshire. Okay, until he formed an unusual partnership. He met producer Ross Arrowsmith. Okay, so this is about the producer. So we're looking at the producer on the set of a food and drink show, and together they created the channel. Okay. He was 19 at the time, and I was already 70. Okay, so I'm not sure about this one. He met the producer on the set of a food and drink show, and together they created the channel. So we don't know whether the producer came up with it, but it's sort of implied. So I'm going to put maybe true on that one, but we'll need to check from the number of ticks that are left. Okay, he was 19 at the time, and I was already 70. Okay, so more than 50 years older than Ross. Yeah, so 70. So that's obviously 51 years older than him. So more than 50 years older than him. That one is definitely true. Okay. Unlikely influencer. Okay, so we've now gone through and we now need to check them. Okay, so tours the Cotswolds with his brother. He's clearly not doing that anymore, so we're not going to shade this box. Okay, so notice that in the exam they're likely to give you some circles to shade. So I will I'll give you some circles to shade just to kind of improve the verisimilitude of this one. Okay, so I'm not going to shade this box. I'm confident that that one is false. Robin likes that the ruins of the buildings are open. They had been completely open back then, so no, I'm not going to shade that one. Robin is in his 70s. In his 70s, that's incontrovertible. That one's definitely true. Okay, YouTube channel is less than 10 years old. It was set up 8 years ago. It's less than 10 years old. Yep. YouTube channel has had thousands of views. Now, I think that this one is wrong because it's had millions of views. It's only in a very technical sense that it's had thousands of views and also more than thousands. Okay, so I'm going to leave that one unshaded. He lives near Oxford. Well, it's in the same shire, so I'm going to say that's pretty near. It's technically an arbitrary point, but hey ho. His producer came up with the idea for the channel. Now, it doesn't say that he came up with the idea. It says together they created the channel. We don't know whose idea it was. So I'm going to leave that one unshaded. And then Robin is more than 50 years older than Ross. I'm going to shade this one. Have I shaded enough squares to get myself 4 marks? Because I only need to shade 4 boxes. This one's definitely true. Yes. This one's definitely true. Yes. This one is definitely true. Yes. And this one is definitely true. Awesome. I've got myself my 4 marks. Okay. So that approach is the way to do it. Read the question first. Read the question, then read the statements, then go through the text, checking the statements down here with a tick or a cross or a question mark if you're not sure. Then when you read the statements, compare them with the language and confirm whether it is a tick or a cross. When you've confirmed that it is a tick, shade the box. Spend a bit of time on the question marky ones to see whether you are confident that they are not worth shading. And then count up whether you shaded 4 and you're happy with all 4 of those. If you're not happy with all 4 of those, go back to your question mark ones and then you can confirm yourself that you've done the job appropriately. Now, I wouldn't spend more than 5 minutes on this in the exam. I've spent a bit more time on it for you, just so you can kind of see my thought processes, but this shouldn't take more than 5 minutes to do in the exam. You can zoom through it, get your 4 marks, guaranteed in the bag. Easy job, nice one.